Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease.
What is going on, everyone? And in this video I'll be giving you my UFC 279 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place September 10th 2022 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Chimaev versus Diaz being the main event of the evening, and I think a lot of people are saying that this is kind of one of those pay-per-view cards that, you know, on paper at least, it's like, what's going on here? The main event to me is obviously exciting. It's got two people. I think a lot of us think we already know the outcome, but I think that would be worst case scenario if the outcome happens that we all know, because then it's like, okay, what was the point of it? Like it was a waste of time or whatever, and that could kind of actually in turn make the pay-per-view seem a little bit off. But I think if we get something exciting, even if Diaz doesn't win the fight, but like who knows what he does, right? It'll make it entertaining at least. It kind of reminds me of when Anderson Silva fought Nick Diaz. I think a lot of people were hyped up about it, and then, you know, when the fight happened, it was kind of like, okay, well, that wasn't the most exciting thing in the world. We saw Diaz have a little bit of his antics, and I think that makes, you know, it helps the entertainment value at least. But either way, hopefully the rest of the card is decent, and it is not one of these sleeper pay-per-views, because for like first time in a long time, there's no like title fight or whatever, or like a super, you know, number one contender fight, because in theory, Chimaev is already the number one contender. If he loses, you know, what does that mean? Does it really mean anything if Diaz just leaves or whatever? So we'll have to see about it. But let's go ahead and jump in to the first fight on the main card. In the first fight on the main card, we have Johnny Walker taking on Ion Cutelaba in a light heavyweight bout. Now, this is going to be one hell of a fight until it's not, right? So as soon as someone dies, and there's no way this fight goes to a decision. If it goes to a decision, then it's going to be a boring ass fight, which, you know, maybe Cutelaba, he's like, hey man, I gotta slow it down here, right? I'm making a little bit too many mistakes. I'm getting a little bit sloppy with it, and then he's getting submitted and stuff like that. So we have to see how Cutelaba is gonna do it. But for Johnny Walker, it's almost like the complete opposite. In the very beginning of his career, you know, he's coming out here, KO, TKO via elbow, spinning back fist, flying knee, and then he kind of, you know, he gets absolutely destroyed by Corey Anderson. And then he loses to Nikita Krylov, defeats Ryan Spann, arguably dies via Ryan Spann, and then comes back to life and gets the finish there. Loses to Thiago Santos in one of the most boring fights that anyone's ever seen. And then he obviously gets absolutely crushed and memed, knocked out against Jamal Hill. So when you look at all that, it's like Walker early on, crazy guy, throwing some crazy stuff. And this is kind of one of those fights where that's exactly why I don't see how it's going to not be like a crazy finish, because Cutelaba is just like super aggressive, right? He has got KO power. He's going to just try to land bombs on you. Not a technical striker, right? He's not lighting you up with combinations. He's just trying to take your head off, but he obviously has some pretty dominant wrestling. Now, whether or not he's going to be able to take Walker down, keep him on the floor, and then get a finish on the floor, I mean, we have to see, right? But at least on the feet, it's very hard to decide. I think obviously Cutelaba is going to be the aggressor, unless he does change his style, right? I think when we saw him fight Devin Clark, it was a little bit of a, I don't want to say reserved, but he definitely fought a little bit better against Devin Clark in comparison to like the other fights that he had. So for me, I think if Cutelaba goes in there and just tries to take Walker's head off, it might work. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like Walker, he's got to know that, like, yo, let me see if I can use Cutelaba's aggression, right? Let me see if I can make him make a mistake, take advantage of one of these things. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to submit him. Obviously, he hasn't submitted anyone inside the UFC, but I do think maybe it could be possible if Walker's, you know, catches him with some crazy spinning elbow, like when Cutelaba slips on the floor, like he did, you know, something crazy like that. Yeah, like, but it's one of those things where, like, you're banking on really either guy, like whoever makes the less mistake, if not like just one mistake is gonna win the fight, right? So if Walker makes a mistake, it's over. If Cutelaba makes a mistake, it could be over him as well. So for me, it's an iffy fight to pick because it's kind of like flipping a coin. Either, I mean, they double knock out each other, but Walker could come out here and not be so reserved, and hit like a flying knee or whatever when Cutelaba jumps in for a takedown, right, or something like that. Or Cutelaba slips and then Walker spinning elbows him to the dome and puts him to sleep. But then at the same time, Cutelaba could come out here super aggressive. Walker kind of just turtles a little bit. And, next thing you know, Cutelaba's on top of him, full mounted, just dropping bombs on his head. And then it's all over. So it's a sketchy fight for me. But it's kind of like both guys. Like, obviously, Walker got memed in his last fight. And then against Thiago Santos, it was just nothing to it, really. And then Ryan Spann, he got lucky. And then Nikita Krylov, he gets taken down. And then you have a guy who's coming in here he's probably going to take him down as well. But I don't think Cutelaba he doesn't play things so safe. So unless Cutelaba does play it safe and just grinds him out or something like that, I could see that. But, I'm going to go with an early finish here. I both of these guys really got to know, especially like, I would say even more so Walker, just because of his performances have been kind of not the best. At least Cutelaba goes out there and tries to die, right? Is an exciting fighter until he gets destroyed or whatever. But Walker has to know that like this could be it, right? It could be to the PFL next or something. You see Thiago Santos going to the PFL. So for me, I'm gonna go Johnny Walker. I'm gonna give him one more opportunity. I think he's gonna try to take advantage of Cutelaba's aggression and land something crazy on him. Either way, I think it's an early finish for both guys, but I'm going to go Johnny Walker to defeat Ion Cutelaba. I'll take him to win by KO TKO in round number 1. In the second fight on the main card, we have Irene Aldana taking on Macy Chiasson. Women's bantamweight bout, 13-6 for Irene, 9-2 for Macy. This is going to be, I think, a pretty decent women's striking battle, unless Macy is able to get the takedowns consistently. But I think Aldana's striking is going to be just a little bit too much, at least on the feet, because, I mean, if it gets taken down, if Irene gets taken down by Macy, this could be more so Macy just hitting her with some ground and pound or whatnot, depending on whether she's able to control her on the floor and get those consistent takedowns. Because Irene, I'm not too sure she's going to be able to do too much off of her back besides try to get back up. Obviously, the boxing advantage on the feet, I think, just has to go to Irene Aldana, just because her striking, her power, it's going to be far better than Macy's. Macy's going to have to light her up with a consistent amount of combinations and strikes and to get her out of there, where I feel like Irene's going to only have to land, she could land at any moment, drop her, and then the fight's over or whatnot. And so maybe Macy is winning early on. Maybe she's putting it together. She's throwing in the leg kicks. She's going to the body. But then Irene just lands like a couple shots, and then Macy's like, oh shit, and then the whole fight changes. Now, obviously, whether or not Macy's going to get like 6 takedowns on her, or she's going to get 3 takedowns, we really have to see that. But I just feel like, if Irene can get her diving in for takedowns because the striking on the feet is just too much, it's just not going to be a good look for her. I like the way that Irene was able to defeat Yana Kunitskaya, get that KO, TKO in round number 1. She did lose to Holly Holm, but Holly Holm decided to go for those takedowns. And then also, she just outstruck her on the feet. So, but then you see Irene was able to defeat Ketlin Vieira, right? And she was able to get that KO, TKO in round number 1. So and then we obviously look at Ketlin Vieira, she's doing pretty well. So, it's an interesting thing. I don't think Macy's going to be able to get those kind of takedowns on her like Holm was. And I also don't think Macy's as good as a striker as Holly Holm is. So I have to go on this one. Irene, is she going to be able to knock Macy out? I guess we're going to find out. Maybe I'll go for it actually. So I'm going to go Irene Aldana. I think she's the better striker. I think if she does get taken down, I don't think it's going to be consistently, and I don't think it's going to cause her too much problems. I think Irene's going to put together that power, and she's going to start landing on Macy, and then that's when you're going to see Macy probably fold a little bit, and it might not take too many shots, right? If Irene's able to really land on her chin, like I feel like Irene can put her away. So I'm going to go Irene Aldana on this one. I'm going to take her to defeat Macy Chiasson. I'll take her to win by KO TKO in round number 2. And then we move on into the third fight on the main card. We have Kevin Holland taking on Daniel Rodriguez in a catchweight bout. 23-7 and 1 no contest for Holland, 16-2 for Daniel Rodriguez. D-Rod. So for Kevin Holland, coming off of a win, pretty good win too, against a really great striker and arguably a better grappler in Tim Means. Definitely was an impressive performance, especially because Tim Means did get 2 takedowns in that fight, but then we have Kevin Holland landing the bomb on him and then getting a Darce choke of all things. So Kevin Holland, he's evolving, and he definitely is capable of getting those finishes, and he's not an idiot, right? It's just a matter of, against those better grapplers, what's going to happen. And when you look at someone like Daniel Rodriguez, I'm not feeling like he's going in for takedowns, right? So for me, I don't think anyone has to worry about Kevin Holland getting taken down in this one. Although I guess you never really know, but probably not. Like let's just assume not. If anyone's going for anything, maybe Holland goes in for the grappling. Like, who knows, right? But at least on the feet, Kevin Holland, regardless of what people say about Rodriguez, I think Kevin Holland still has the better striking. It's not just boxing for him. He can definitely slam in those head kicks. He can go to the body with the kicks. He has more of and he also has punches as well, and he can fight long. He is pretty lengthy, and he's not a guy you want to be trading with back and forth. I mean, Holland definitely has some KO power, and that's not to take away from Rodriguez, because I think Rodriguez has some pretty good boxing. It's just, I don't think it's as well-rounded as Holland's, and I still think Rodriguez is going to make the fight competitive, though. I don't think he's going to get put out that quickly. Maybe he does, but I do think Rodriguez will probably try to strike with him and get in his face and light him up with some pretty good combinations. It's just a matter of whether or not Holland's just judging the distance far better, and he's landing just a lot more, going to the head with the head kicks, going to the body as well, and just judging that distance fairly cleanly and putting him away. Because I still think Holland, even at, 185, he was very good, right? He was fighting top level competition. Granted, it was just that wrestling that he was having struggles with. I mean, he rocked Derek Brunson against Vettori. He got taken down 11 times. It's not like he's absolutely trash, right? He defeated Jacare, so he has that knockout power, and it's very dangerous. But at the same time, he can't overlook someone like Daniel Rodriguez, because at the same time, Rodriguez does have KO power, even though he's fought lesser competition, and he's still dangerous, right? He definitely has fast hands. It's not a take away from him. So we'll have to see who's gonna come out of here, who's gonna come out really aggressive or not aggressive. I personally think Rodriguez is gonna come out pretty aggressive, and then you're gonna kind of see Holland trying to take advantage of that, and then I feel like it's gonna come via a kick, some sort of kick, or Rodriguez is a tough bastard, right? So don't take it away from him. Maybe it goes to decision. Maybe it's a pretty entertaining fight and competitive. And if it's that, then let's go Kevin Holland. So I'm gonna go Kevin Holland to defeat Daniel Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is a tough guy, so I'm gonna take Kevin Holland to defeat him via decision. And then we move on into the fourth fight of the night, and we have Jingliang taking on Tony Ferguson, welterweight bout. 19-7 for Jingliang, and then 26-7 for Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's coming off pretty much getting sent into the shadow realm, and then he's getting to roll the dice again to come back out of the shadow realm, and we'll see if he gets put back in there. But the way he got knocked out against Chandler, I would arguably say too, he had Chandler on some skates. He dropped in there with that right hand, boom, boom, wobbled him a little bit. But then eventually, Ferguson, and even off his back, he's slamming in elbows, trying to go for some submissions. He's not giving up. But damn, man, he just got taken out. And so we really didn't get to see, over the course of the rounds, if he didn't get knocked out, what, would it have gone to a decision, or what would have happened? But man, that can't be good for you as well. To get knocked out like that in May, and then, he's coming back, and he's coming back at a different division, because he's probably well, I don't want to let's see if we can do something fresh, right, or whatever. That's never really a good sign in my opinion. Against Beneil Dariush, he got taken down 3 times. That was pretty much that. Almost got his shit snapped up in that fight. Against Charles Oliveira, pretty much dominated same way. Grappling, the striking was just not there either. And then obviously against Justin Gaethje, just literally was just using him as a punching bag, and eventually got the finish in the 5th round. And then before that, he took out Donald Cerrone. So if you really look at it, in June of 2019 was his last win. Now, granted, it was against Donald Cerrone, which obviously was declining, and then he beat Pettis. That was a pretty good win. And then obviously Kevin Lee. But he's fought top level guys, right? So pretty much he fought everyone he wanted to outside of Khabib. So for me, you look at this fight and it's like, okay, so they're giving him the leech, right? And the leech is coming off of a knockout against Muslim Salikov in round number 2. Just put him away, nasty, lights him up, very aggressive, Jingliang. He'll get in your face because he believes in his power. He lost to Chimaev, which, okay, that is what it is. He knocked out Santiago Ponzinibbio. He lost to Neil Magny. He's lost to Jake Matthews. But the leech, he's not getting slept, right? He's sleeping people or winning via decision. And so maybe in this fight, Ferguson is able to possibly maybe go in for a takedown or get into the grappling exchange and then try to go for some sort of submission, get Jingliang to, rock Jingliang, then he's trying to go in for a dart choke. We all know he can do that. But it's assuming that Ferguson is going to play this safe game plan, which he might, right? Ferguson, knowing that Jingliang is pretty tough bastard, he might try to play it safe. He might try to fight technical, and then win a decision, or like I said, maybe Jingliang gets a little bit tired. He's getting outworked, and then Ferguson tries to go in for the grappling himself and pull off some sort of submission. But for me, it's just a matter of Jingliang's knocking dudes out, right? He's not getting knocked out. It's just hard for me to see unless Jingliang makes a super big mistake here, and maybe he just gets caught with a spinning back fist or an elbow or something crazy. I'm just not sure Ferguson is going to be able to take too much more damage. And when you're fighting a guy like Jingliang who really only needs to land one shot, it's just, I'm not sure Ferguson's going to be that guy. Now, like I said, I don't think Ferguson wins like a KO here. I think if he wins, it's he's just out voluming Jingliang, and he's going for the jab, and he's lighting up his, he's using his leg kicks and all that. But I just can't pick someone that is moving up and he's fighting like a killer, basically. A guy who's really gonna find his chin. And I'm just not sure, man. I'm not sure Tony Ferguson's chin's gonna hold up against the big shots of Jingliang, especially even if it does hold up early on, right? I'm not too sure it holds up in the latter round of the 3rd round. And like I said, for me, Tony Ferguson is kind of, in my opinion, on his way out. He's fought the best top guys, but now he's getting a little bit beaten up. The Justin Gaethje fight, he got really beat up. And then the next 2 fights, he kind of got out grappled and beat up. And then he gets absolutely crushed by Michael Chandler. And he's coming back and he's fighting a guy who can literally put him out just like Michael Chandler did. So, and Jingliang, man, he looked pretty good against Muslim Salikov, right? And he does a really good job of getting in your face and just landing bombs, man. I'm just not sure. He could get caught, I guess, but he's fought killers too, Jingliang. So, yeah, I'm going to go Li Jingliang on this one. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say, I think he defeats Tony Ferguson, KO TKO, in round number 2. In the main event of the evening, we have a welterweight bout between Khamzat Chimaev, 11-0, taking on Nate Diaz, 21-13. Yeah, I really don't know how this fight came together. I think from a point of view as far as if it makes make it make sense kind of view, it's like maybe Diaz should have gotten someone like Dustin Poirier or someone else that's kind of not really like an exciting fight, right? Not something where it's because you don't want to see anyone get beat up, bro. Like, I'm not saying Khamzat Chimaev is going to win like 99% of the time, but maybe he does, right? And I honestly don't even think like this is one of those weird fights where the result, whatever it is, on the other side as far as Nate Diaz is concerned, like if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen this fight, right? Like they could literally fight 100 times, and it's the side where Nate Diaz wins is gonna happen on Saturday if he wins, right? So he's gonna like Chimaev is just fighting like too cocky or whatever. Like he said he's gonna, what if he slaps me? He's like, well, I'll slap him or something. But like those are those moments where, in the fight, that's what Nate Diaz wants you to do, right? Get a little bit too, take his little antics, like, and leave yourself exposed for something where, you think you're winning the fight. So you're like, oh, this is so easy. You drop your hands and you're just like, what are you going to do? And the next thing you know, he 1-2s you. And then the whole thing changes. Chimaev's wobbled. And then this time it's in the third round, right? It's not like the last 10 seconds of the fight. And Diaz is like on top of him, just going to the body, smashing his head. Like, and then next thing you know, he submits him or something. Like, something crazy like that. And but then like you look at the other 99 times and you have Chimaev just rushing his ass, either taking him down, fully mounting him, and just dropping bombs on him, or even going for his own submission, or like Chimaev just, one shot KOs him, and Nate Diaz is like just on the floor, like actually knocked out for like one of the few times he's ever been in that position, right? Outside of like when what did they throw in the towel against Josh Thompson? But like outside of that, he's never been like flatlined or anything like that. So we could see that, or we could honestly see Chimaev just grind his ass out. But I don't think he's gonna want to do that, just because that'd be the 1% chance that you give Diaz to win the fight, right? So why would you even go about that route? And Chimaev, it depends on what he wants. But if he wants the title, like. But then at the same time, like, if he wanted the title that bad, he wouldn't have taken this fight, right? Because he's already kind of the number one contender. Winning this fight doesn't really... All this winning this fight's going to do is either going to confirm that, like, okay, he would have beat his ass anyways, or it's going to just kind of make him not look good, like, and not look undefeated, and it'll always be like that weird loss that he had on his record for Chimaev. And then obviously for Nate Diaz, if he wins... Well, then it's like, well, of course he won, right? Because it's Nate Diaz. He just does shit like that. It's so random. And then he bounces to PFL, or he goes and fights Jake Paul, or like who knows, right? Like at that point, and or he just fights in his own organization that he just created, Real Fights or whatever. But like I keep saying, like these are all things that are probably not going to happen, right? We're probably not going to see Nate Diaz like knock Chimaev out within 10 seconds, right? If anything, we see Diaz do his antics, slow the fight down. Chimaev's playing along with it too, being trolly and stuff. And then Diaz is like, got him. And then, 1-2s him, and then next thing you know, Chimaev makes a mistake because he's like, what the hell are you doing? And then he rushes in and gets caught or something. And, or, you never know. Like, Nate Diaz has ways to win, right? But most likely, in my opinion, if you want to win this fight and you want to take the shit seriously, Chimaev comes out, he feels it out a little bit, goes to the leg, because we know the leg kick's going to be there all day. Diaz is not really going to check it. Test that out a little bit, get your range, maybe drop in a bomb here and there. If that doesn't knock him out, then you take him down. And then when you take him down, you just go to work. We saw Chimaev just like pick up Jingliang and just throw him on the floor and just beat his ass and then submit him. I really wouldn't be surprised to see Chimaev get a submission and all that. But like I said, it all depends on... Because I think we saw that a little bit in the Gilbert Burns fight, where Chimaev was kind of like, I'm going to put this dude out. And then when he didn't put him out, you saw Burns come back and then even rock him. And then Chimaev was a little bit upset after the fight, because it was like he was kind of he kind of came out there expecting him to put him away, and then when that didn't happen, it was like, oh shit, wait. Like, I actually have to fight this guy now? Like, I can't just pick him up and throw him on the floor. And so, like, Nate Diaz, if you're going to do it against a guy like that, you know, Nate Diaz is going to be a similar type of guy where you might come out there and be like, look at this scrawny dude, right? Like, this dude is coming out. He's not as ripped as I am. He says he wants to just come out here. He didn't really train. And you just kind of get this mindset of that. And then you're fighting him. And you're, you know, you think you're about to put this dude away, and then he's just not going away. And then so the other thing too would be to like take him down, for Chimaev to take Diaz down, drop some elbows, cut him, because then you can get the doctor stoppage. So yeah, I mean, a lot of shit's gonna have to go right for Diaz to win this fight. I just don't see it happening early. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see Chimaev just flatline him for the first time. Like, if anyone's gonna flatline Nate Diaz, it's gonna be like passing of the torch, right? For Khamzat Chimaev to go in there and just flatline this guy. So, yeah, you can talk about it all day and debate what's gonna happen, but anyone predicting Diaz to win is, you know, just saying that. No, I don't think too many people. Now, do I think, like, you know, Diaz should be like a plus 650 when we've seen him come out here and do shit before? I mean, I don't necessarily think so. Do I think Chimaev should be a minus 1,000? I mean, no, I don't. I mean, you're fighting a guy who, if you let the fight get too long, can knock you out within like 5 seconds when you start to gas out a little bit, because you're just like, okay. But then at the same time, I'm not really worried about Diaz. I mean, Diaz could catch him in a submission. You know, we could see Chimaev get way too crazy with the takedown, leave his head there or something, get caught in like a triangle choke, and then, you know, Nate Diaz triangle chokes him on the floor and puts his middle fingers up and is like, punch him in the head while, you know, I don't think that's gonna happen. But if Chimaev comes out here too cocky and, you know, just, I'm gonna run through this guy, you know, maybe he will, or maybe he'll run into a situation that he didn't think he was gonna be in. And so that's really the interesting part of this whole thing. And that's why we're all going to watch it on, you know, we're all going to watch it because we want to know if there's going to be that 1%, that 20% chance that Diaz pulls off something crazy, right? That's why we want to watch it. Otherwise, we'd be like, oh, next, you know, like, who cares? Because this is something, this is like, because we know what Diaz could do. It's just, it's not, you know, it's not always happening, as many people say too, right? So when Diaz beat Anthony Pettis, like, it's almost like people forgot he even fought Anthony Pettis because he didn't do it in a spectacular way. Most people called to Conor McGregor fight, which was in 2016, when he beat Gray Maynard, obviously, in 2013. So it's like, people have this aura of Nate Diaz, like he's coming back in like these fights every time and pulling, you know, like rocking these dudes, and it really isn't happening like that. It's just, it's happened a couple of times and people kind of latch on to those highlights or to those moments. And then when you look at like his last fight, right, he lost that fight and he was getting his ass beat, but he decided to, I guess, go for it when Leon was a little bit drained, I guess, in the very end of the round, and he almost won. So people think about that. And then, you know, people with Nate always saying that, like, you know, he didn't lose to Masvidal, like, because it was a doctor stoppage or whatnot. Like, it's like Conor McGregor, where he's like, I only lose if I get knocked out or whatever. So technically I'm, you know, it's so stupid. Like, it's MMA for a reason, right? You can't just rule everything out, right? So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm going with Khamzat Chimaev. And, you know, I think if he, like I said, if he takes this shit seriously and he really wants to go in there and kill Nate Diaz, he doesn't let this fight get out of round one, right? Because killing Nate Diaz would be what he did to Jingliang, right? Where he either takes him down, drops bombs on him and knocks Diaz out, or gets, like, you know, him a bloody mess and then they call it, or he takes Diaz down and just submits his ass in like the first minute. Like, that to me is like, you're gonna go out there and kill him. If you let this fight go past the first round, and it's not because, you know, you're actually trying, you're kind of just like, I want to make this exciting, then that's where you're going to lose the fight. So I think On paper, Chimaev should go out here and just absolutely crush Diaz within like the first minute. If he doesn't, well, then we'll see what happens. So that'll do it, guys, for my UFC 279 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place Saturday, September 10, 2022. Chimaev versus Diaz. Let's see what happens. If anything happens. Hopefully it's a good card. But leave your comments down below. Tell me who you're picking. Are you picking Chimaev? Are you taking Diaz? And why? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next video.